All members are present this evening, and we have a presentation from DASNY, it's at DASNY, and Mayor will start us off. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're happy to be in a position to support the state of New York and Governor Hochul and DASNY and the OMH, Office of Mental Health, in providing water and wastewater services to the new Mid-Hudson Forensic Psychiatric Center facilities that will be constructed at the site of the old one to replace the existing facility. The cooperation between the city and DASNY and OMH in extending the city water and wastewater services will support the potential future commercial development of the Route 17M corridor as targeted by the county executive and the county planning department, along with, in cooperation with the city of Middletown and the town of Wawayanda. There will be important steps to be taken for supporting more water demand along the 17M corridor that will include the potential development of the Indigo area as an expanded permanent water source for the city of Middletown. If you recall, the Indigo was an important part of the city's providing water and sewer service to Amy's Kitchen, which is in the same vicinity. It should be noted that due to our continued investment in our infrastructure, the city already has the capacity to meet the project's future water and wastewater needs and has already received approval of the DEC to move forward. The speakers tonight are Marshall Vitale, he's Director, and Matt Maston, Assistant Director of Capital Projects. They're part of the Office of Mental Health Administrative Support Services Group. Their office has oversight of the most non-clinical functions at OMH, the state-operated hospitals. This includes design and construction projects, safety and security, nutrition services, fleet management, environmental and surplus property. Jeffrey Dwyer is also here. He's the senior architect with the Dormitory Authority, the state of New York. He's responsible for the design oversight of the project. DASNY is providing the oversight and coordination services for both design and construction of the project. They also have other members of their team here who they will introduce. So welcome to, I believe Marshall will be the first speaker, or maybe the team will come up and make a presentation to the council and to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. Thanks to the mayor, thanks to the DPW commissioner, and certainly thanks to all you folks on city council who are giving us your time tonight. My name is Marshall Vitale. As mentioned, I'm the director of the Administrative Support Services Group at OMH. We have a lot of responsibilities, including oversight of design and construction, as well as safety and security, nutrition, fleet management, all the non-clinical supports that operate at those state-operated hospitals. I'm here with Matt Maston from my office and Jeff Dwyer from DASNY. We're also joined by Michelle McIntyre, who has a lead role in designing this effort with Ramble. So again, thank you for your time. So our presentation is really centered around 4 principles. The purpose of, first and foremost, why we're here. We're going to give you an overview of the project background and the schedule, and then we'll have some time at the end for questions. So again, as the mayor mentioned, the primary reason why we're here tonight is to obtain the city council's support for an out-of-district water and sewer user associated with the Mid-Hudson Forensic Psychiatric Center down the road on 17M. The city council's approval is required because we would be an out-of-district user, and we have to file a formal permit application with the DEC as part of this project. As mentioned before, we've already received support from the mayor's office, from the DPW commissioner, and if your approval is granted, what we'll need to know is what our next steps would be in terms of formalizing design, any additional approvals that will be required from the city council, so that we can make sure that our project is staying on time as far as the design schedule and then moving into construction. So I think as probably many of you know, the Office of Mental Health operates a number of state-operated hospitals. We have 23 in total, including Mid-Hudson Forensic Psychiatric Center. So again, my office oversees the design and construction and other support services on all of those hospitals. They range from Buffalo up to the Canadian border, down to New York City and out on Long Island. We also, as an agency, regulate, certify, and oversee over 4,500 programs operated by local governments. The Mid-Hudson Center is 285 beds currently. As you know, the buildings are very old. They date back, some, I think, over 100 years, and they're in need of a major update. So we're very fortunate in that we recently secured funding from New York State to move forward with a full replacement hospital. We will be abandoning the entire existing campus infrastructure and building a new campus on our grounds adjacent to the current site. It will be 300 beds, and the renderings in the picture, as we go through the slides, are actual renderings of what the buildings will look like. They were put together by our design consultants, so it gives you a nice visual for what the future holds. Once the project is done, we will be decommissioning the old campus, cutting and capping utilities, and repurposing it for some future use, non-state use. So we partnered with, the Office of Mental Health partnered with DASNY to finance and construct the new hospital. They have in turn hired licensed professional architects and engineers to complete the design. They've also hired a construction management company to oversee the design process, work with our design consultants, and also oversee construction. So DASNY ultimately will be bidding out the construction project once design is finished. So for those of you that can see the screen, there's just a visual that gives you a sense of where the new site will be in relation to the existing campus. The existing campus is in red, and as you'll see, tucked between 17M and River Road will be the new campus that will run along the side of River Road. So we're expecting to have our 100% design documents by this summer. We just recently reached the 60% design milestone, so things do take time in public works construction, but we're marching along toward hopefully having those design documents finished up in just a few more than, probably about 6 months from now. So again, here's a rendering of the view of the new building from the parking lot. So again, bringing it back to why we're here. As part of this project, our intention is to abandon the existing on-site water treatment plant as well as the wastewater treatment plant and decommission those. The Office of Mental Health is in the business of providing behavioral health care, and we're not operating sewage treatment plants and wastewater treatment facilities isn't, within the core mission of our agency. And so this presents us a much needed opportunity to decommission those old systems and hopefully, upon your approval, connect to the city of Middletown's water and waste and sewer system. So this picture is a little bit small, but it provides a general overview of the water tie-in and the wastewater tie-in. And I'll just note that the existing finished water tanks on the Mid-Hudson site is where we would do the water tie-in. The wastewater tie-in would be along 17M, and we will be constructing a new pump station. That still needs to be ironed out as the design progresses a little bit more. This next slide gives you a visual, a higher level visual of 17M in relation to our campus. So what we're proposing as part of this design is to, again, connect our system into a tie-in along River Road and then follow it up about 3.5 miles on 17M to the city limits. And based on our initial review, we're not aware of any environmental or adverse impacts that are anticipated as part of this plan, but those lines would essentially traverse the length of 17M about 3.5 miles. one big aspect of this project is, dealing with Route 84. So what we're proposing here is for directional drilling pits to address the complexity of that intersection and the busyness of that intersection. This picture gives you a visual again of where the city connection points would be. The sewer tie-in, as you can see, would be at the intersection of 17M and 108, and the wastewater tie-in would be at the intersection of County Route 78. This slide's a little bit technical, but it does give a general idea of what the design criteria that was used in this model looks like. Essentially, for both the potable water and the wastewater force main, we're looking at 36,000 gallons per day, which is the average flow rate, and the maximum flow rate being 40,000 gallons per day. There is a difference in the diameter of those mains. One is 8 inches, one is 4 inches, and then we reference here the type of material that's being used. Next, the project schedule, which is always important with things like this. We received a letter of support from Middletown back in January last year. It's been a year already. And using that sort of as a kickoff, we started progressing design. We reached the 30% schematic design milestone in June of this past year. And this month, our plan is to finalize the 60% documents. So this slide gives you a sense of what's already happened. The next slide outlines what's yet to happen, which is, again, intending to have our construction documents available by this summer with a bid opening in April of 2024. So about 15 months from now, 14 months from now, construction starting in June of 2024, and then spanning anywhere from 12 to 16 months, with construction finishing up in October of 2025. So that's all I have as far as a formal presentation, but I do have Michelle McIntyre here who can help answer any technical questions you may have. We have Jeff Dyer from DASNY, who's our architect, and Matt Maston from my office, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
I just got a couple of questions. I'm happy to hear this. I know that for a short time they're talking about closing it. So I mean, if we're creating a new hospital there's a lot of jobs. I don't know how many jobs are over there, but I know a lot of them.
Yeah, it's over 550 jobs
Okay, and
of the current state workforce at Mid-Hudson Psych.
great. And I know a lot of them live in the city. I used to
Absolutely.
live my first apartment above Earl. They named the road after him. The Earl. I forget the road there that comes out. There's a few questions. Are they going to, on this River Road, are they going to get, I know right now that's like Frogger for the people trying to get out of the, when they get off their shift onto 17M. Are they going to put like a entrance on the River Road or?
So the main entrance to the new Mid-Hudson Psychiatric Center would be, let me go back
It's not a
to
big,
the
I was just-
picture,
it's not really-
would be off of River Road, yes.
Perfect, okay.
Correct, Jeff?
And then you answered my question with the jobs. The new pipeline is going to be up 17. The water, is it just going to be exclusively for Mid-Hudson, or will other people, other businesses be able to access it, like the Toyota dealership or?
Sure. That's a good question. So the plan that we put together, and again, which is being financed by the state and paid for by the state and constructed by the state, includes the capacity to support the average consumption that I outlined on a previous slide. The physical capacity of the line is slightly larger than the intended use. So there's a bit of wiggle room in between the design capacity and the expected usage for additional consumption. All of that would really be subject to DEC approval. Again, we're moving forward with a permit application to support the needs of our campus, which we believe DEC will approve. However, any delta above and beyond that would really be subject probably to another permit application by the town, and subsequent additional users would need to make, that case. But the design capacity of the line is slightly larger and could accommodate additional growth.
This is town of Wayanda, correct? Or-
Well, the line would run really from the city limits of Middletown to our campus.
Where's
I
the
don't,
campus located? Is that Wayanda?
it's,
And Goshen,
In Goshen? Oh, okay, just curious.
yes, through where we are. It's mostly state route anyway.
Oh, okay.
We're going 17 and it's owned by New York State.
Okay, just curious. Thank you.
yep, you're welcome.
Supportive.
President Snyder. This is your meeting, right? When you say slightly, you mean like 10%? Like 36,000 versus 40,000, something like that? Or it's hard to say?
So I don't know that I have those numbers with me.
Okay.
Yeah, I brought them if you want. So based on, what we designed for a typical.
Can you please come to the mic, ma'am?
Based on industry standards, assuming residential use, just for commercial use, there would be quite a variety of, flow rates. We could support about 800 additional households from a sewer capacity and about 1,500 households from a water capacity.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
And I will just add, if that ends up, playing out when the line is installed and functional, if it's approved by DEC, what my office also does is we work on real property and surplus property initiatives. We work with local municipalities on, MOU type agreements. So something like that would involve, some of the folks in this room to work with the city council on a subsequent agreement to offer up, the line for future development, assuming again, pending DEC approval on any additional permit application. But there'd be a process for us to go through in order to make sure that any additional capacity isn't negatively impacting, our facility and things along those lines.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Sorry about that. So I've been trying to follow this, and the commissioner may have mentioned and answered the question, but is there any other municipality that can hold this up if we support this?
So as far as I understand, so municipality, I'm not aware of a
Like
municipality that
Wayanda
can
or-
hold this up.
Not if it's 17M.
But there's no portion of connecting anywhere to get to,
So,
that's like I said,
Yeah.
I
So-
tried, thank you.
so I'll go first,
Yeah.
and then I'll turn it over to Michelle. I've been thinking a lot about outside approvals required for this project. So
Okay.
maybe I'm not going to answer your direct question, but it's my understanding that we need city council support, we needed the mayor's support, we needed the DPW commissioner's support, we need DOT's support for the I-84 crossing.
Okay.
As well as DEC support through the permit application.
Okay.
So there's multiple different, I refer to them as control agencies,
Okay.
control entities that are involved in the overall approval of this project, city council being one. I'm not aware of any other interaction with Wayanda.
Yeah,
But-
so
Go ahead.
we have contacted Wawayanda and gotten their initial feedback and the process where we're going to submit the plans at about 100% just so that they can review them. We also talked last week with Town of Goshen, so they're on board to potentially give us an easement on their property south of River Road and
I guess that was probably the way I should have asked that. Okay,
yeah, so
thank you.
we have been in contact with them. We've been in contact with DOH. So we've tried to, up to this point, contact everyone we think we need approval from, just to give them a heads up, get initial thoughts, and then between the 60 and 90%, reach out to them again. So we have been trying to be very proactive.
Thank you.
Alderman Green?
May want to stay, Michelle.
I don't know, this, maybe not, I don't know if my question pertains, no. Is there any kind of a contract length or date, just thinking ahead, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, let's say Goshen decides to build a wastewater treatment plant, and all of a sudden they're providing water, you know, and they want to come in under, you know, bid. Is there a contracted timeline for this if we were to?
That's a good question. I don't know, Jeff, if you've thought about that. So what we're doing on our end, right? So we're issuing state bonds to support this project with an expected useful life of, let's say, 30 years. So our responsibility as part of that investment is to make sure that we're getting the return on the investment, which is the full life of the line. So it's being done as sort of a permanent solution
Sure.
for our need on campus. And again, this is the state's investment, so we wouldn't be in a position to put in, you know, another line to Goshen at any point in the future. This hopefully is, again, the broader construction project at Mid-Hudson is essentially a 50-year investment in a brand-new building, long-term, and as part of that, we want to have a permanent solution to wastewater and to domestic water. So that's the way we're viewing it, and given the status of the bonds, it really is a long-term commitment.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Alderman Kleiner? Commissioner, anything you want to add?
Yeah, where's the council president? No, I mean, we're very excited about this. You know, the long relationship, established relationship, especially between all of you guys, the mayor and the governor's office. And we're very happy to be able to support the growth along 17M. Now for the state and possibly in the future, but we have to develop additional water resources or sources in Indigo in order to supply more people with water, if that is what is needed. There is a lot of things that's going to be worked out between us and DASNY, which is basically, Marshall, he mentioned that they might turn the water main over to us and the sewer line for maintenance and so on and so forth, and return to us, allowing people to connect to. It gets to be a little bit complicated with the DEC for to be expeditious. Would they apply just for a service for a building only, not expanded water supply? So not expanded water district or additional water district and so on and so forth. There's a lot of things to be ironed out before they apply for their official permit from the DEC. So there is a lot of work to be done, but the point is, they're moving forward with their design. The mayor, myself, and I'm sure you guys, because I spoke to many of you individually, you're in support and excited about this project and to be able to support the state with their project and hopefully enhance the entire 17M with commercial development, because that's the agreement between us and the county for developing Indigo Reservoir area.
Alderman Johnson. Thank you, Commissioner.
I'm with Kevin, I'm not sure what I'm asking.
Alderman Johnson, go ahead.
Just to follow up on the commissioner, so you mentioned the concept of sources of water. If we didn't have enough water, what would happen?
We do have the water, it's established.
For the establishment?
Yes, for their use, yes. But what Marshall was talking about is if we go beyond that, say they're requiring 40,000 gallons per day. Suppose you have enough customers in there for 200,000 gallons per day additional. Not that the pipe will be able to support that, but we're just hypothetically.
Okay.
Then we'll have to talk about additional water resources or doing some improvement so that our water taking permit, as approved by the DEC, could be modified in order to meet that demand at a safe yield, that's acceptable and agreeable between us and the DEC.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? I got to say myself, I'm 100% approved by this project. This is going to be extremely big for the city of Middletown.
Great. Thank you.
Anything else? All right.
So
Mayor? Okay, go ahead.
I'm just wondering what we can do from here. That's a little bit of my confusion is our next steps in terms of formally securing approval to provide Ramble and Dasney what they need in order to file the application. Maybe that's more a question for the DPW commissioner, but I just want to make sure, we're able to, clearly take the next step after this meeting because, as I mentioned before, we're very excited about this project and we don't want to lose any momentum.
You have a resolution for tonight?
Not for tonight. No.
So I think probably the best thing to do is to support, just resolution for next meeting or the following meeting to support the mayor's support of this project and to allow it to move forward and authorize the Commissioner of Public Works and the Corporation Council to work with DASNY and their engineers in order to iron out the agreements, the proper agreements. Final agreement between us and DASNY, or it will have to come before you again for approval once we have everything. And you can't just approve something based on whatever we discuss or something like that. So,
Thank you.
that's it. Moving forward, just probably would that be acceptable to you?
No, that's perfect.
Well, what I want to do right now is just go around the table. It seems like I'm getting a positive vibe from everyone in this room. So I'm just going to go around the table to see if we have any disagreement.
Great.
I'll start with Alderman Kleiner. How do you feel about this project?
I think it's an excellent project. I'd like to see it move forward.
Alderman Green.
Has my support.
I'm in
Alderman
favor
Witt?
of it. I'm in favor, I'm sorry.
Yep, move forward.
Okay. Alderman Johnson.
Good to go.
Okay. So okay for me also.
Great.
So moving forward, it's now 7:27. The DPW committee is now adjourned.